Hey everyone, welcome back to Coding with Avinash. Welcome to the part 3 of our JPA series. So in the previous videos, if you remember, we have in the first video we have gone through what is the introduction, what is JPA and the introduction of JPA, and in the second video we have seen usage of few methods, like we have seen the insertion into database, retrieval from database, and deletion from database using JPA. So now let's see now let's see updation into the database. So let's see how we can update using JPA. So before that, let's go to our employee table, and looks like we don't have any records in our employee table. Let's run our test create method and let's insert few records in our employee table. Let me right click, let me click on run as, and let me click on JUnit test. So ideally 3 records should be inserting in our database. Let's see what happens after the run gets completed. So it's a green, meaning it's success. So let me go to the employees table and let me check. Yeah, we see 3 records with ID 100, 101 and 102. So now let's update any of the record and see how it is getting saved. Okay, so let me write a new method. I'll say public void test update. So I will take an object employees e equal to new employees, so I'll say e dot I'll say employee repository dot find by ID 100. Let's make it find by ID. Let's get it into e dot get. Now let's say e dot set sal. So previously for ID 100 for Avinash, the salary is $1000, right? So let's make it to $2000. I'll put it as D, as we see that salary with double, as we had salary with data type double. So now let's save our employee object using employee repository method. I'll say dot save, I'll say e, and let's run this method and see what would be the what would happen on the employee ID 100. Okay, I have again missed putting @test annotation, so let me add it and let me run it back. Yeah, it shows green, meaning the test is successful. And now let's go ahead and see the record of 100. So previously it's 1000 and now it got updated to 2000. So let's see what is the query that been used by Hibernate here. So it's selecting and updating using where condition. So it automatically writes this query on its backend. So it says update employee set designation equal to name equal to salary equal to so and so, where ID equal to the one which we have retrieved before. So this is how update works. So using save method we can update if the record already exists. The JPA has the smartness to update the record. If it is not, it will be inserting the record. So this is now let's see for another method. Let's see for exists, which is also one of the JPA operation. Let's write one more method. Let me say test public void test exists. We did not do we did not take any object or something. We'll just simply say employee repository dot exists by ID. Let's give 102. So we have 3 records, if you remember. So we can just put it in an if condition. If employee exists, sorry, if employee exists, we will just sys out employee exists. So now let's run this method and see whether exist is working or not. Let me click on JUnit test. So it turns out to be green. So that so the test case is success. And here we can see it says employee exists. So it's saying select count star from employee where employee dot id equal to so and so, and it says employee exists. Now let's see the count method. So let me write one more test case. I'll say public void test count. I'll just simply say employees repository dot count. I'll just put it in sysout. I'll say employees count and I'll just append this. So now let's run test count and see whether what is the result that it is printing. So it's running. Yeah, so this is the query which it executed. Select count of star from employees table, and the count it says 3. And if you see our database, we do have 3 records in our employees table. So this is how count and exists functions work in JPA. So we have gone through all the CRUD operations. We have gone through the insert using save, and retrieves using find all, find by ID, and deletes using delete by ID, delete all, and updates using save, and exists and count. So now let's go through something called generators. Okay, so if you remember, in the beginning, in our introduction video, we have said there is something called generator types and generator strategies which we will be using, right? So generators are nothing but like in every table, we'll be having a primary key like an ID or something, right? So whenever there is an ID, so if you remember, what we used to do is in our employees table. Let me take you to that. So in our employees table, we have manually set the ID. So whereas in case of generator, we need not do that thing manually. So we do have couple of generators. So in JPA, we have 4 types of generators. We'll call generator type as auto, and we have identity, and we have sequence, and the last one is table. So these generators are nothing but which helps us to generate the IDs. Instead of we manually setting the IDs, it will automatically generate these IDs. So there are different strategies as we discussed before. So auto is nothing but it will go and check the database, and it will understand what is the underlying generation sequence type of this database. So based on that, it will automatically generate the IDs based on the underlying sequence of the database which is present. As the name suggests, it's auto. So we need not to explicitly mention anything. It automatically understands the generation type of database, and it generates accordingly. And identity. So this identity is something like auto increment. So the ID based on the number of records, it auto increments to that particular number when it's generating the next record. Whereas sequence, as the name suggests, if you are idle with the sequence in SQL databases, like we could create a sequence, and while mentioning this generator type or this generator strategy, we need to mention we need to make sure to let JPA know to understand what sequence it should generate the ID accordingly. So we should be mentioning the sequence name when we are mentioning the strategy type sequence here. So based on that sequence, it will be generating the IDs. And this table, in this table, it's nothing but it will create one more table. And here we can create the logic for saving IDs, and based on this reference to this table, it will be generating the IDs accordingly into our main table. So these are the four types of generators which we'll be going through via coding examples. So just to iterate it again, we have a generator, we have something called generator types in our JPA, which is useful to generate IDs for primary keys instead of we setting it manually. We have four types of generators. One is auto, identity, sequence, and table. In case of auto, it understands the underlying ID generator of the database, and it automatically gets synced with that generation generator, and it generates the ID for every record. Whereas in case of identity, as I said before, like it increments the value. It automatically increments the value based on the number of record. And in the sequence, where we need to create a sequence on beforehand, and we need to specify the sequence when we are when we are mentioning the strategy of generators. And in the table, there will be an external table explicitly where we will be mentioning the logic for the ID generation, and we will be referring the same table to our master table. So this is about generators.